just so we don't fuck around looking for it. Just so we don't fuck around looking for it. It does look pretty funny. DJ. This is here, so when I pull it up, I'm not. I do like that.
Hey everybody, it's the Old Man Grappling Hour.
What's up, guys? How are you? Back again with Sonny Parlin, Kevin Gallagher in the house.
In the hizzy.
It's not really quite a house. It's kind of a house of shame. We've got our little storage unit facility here, $1 million studio.
We are, in a $1 million studio or the back of a truck.
You never really know. You just can't tell with the hijinks of the Old Man Grappling Hour.
My God, man, you talk loud.
I know I do. I can't help it. I have a booming voice. We are our motherboard up in front of us right now.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good. The folks like to hear my voice resounding through the room.
I'm turning the wrong channel down.
That's what's happening. So I hope you guys enjoyed our show last week. We had Charlie on, Dr. Charlie, last week. He's a great guest. Charlie was a lot of fun. He was a smart kid.
Yeah. What's funny was when we saw him at Sapaterio, I totally didn't recognize his hair down.
His hair down.
He's like, hey, man.
Looking all casual.
Guy.
Yeah. He's got his little hood, his hood motif going on there. Hood chic.
When I admitted to him that I didn't recognize him, he's like, I saw it in your eyes. I bet there's a lot of people who feel like that when they see me. Bro, I can't, listen, and I'm not trying to say this to be big time or anything, because I'm definitely not, but every time I go to a tournament, without fail, there's always like 5 or 6 people that come up to me, hey, Sonny, and I'm like, hey.
Oh, dude.
And I have no idea who they are or what, I mean, it must be jujitsu is the context, but I don't recognize them. I feel like I've never seen them before in my life. And I'm just saying, I feel like a dementia patient.
Welcome to my world. When I worked in the hospitality industry for a long time, and I've lived in Tampa for pretty much my entire life. I hung out down at Evilware with all the freaking hipster kids and all the counterculture kids and stuff like that. So it happens to me quite a bit. When people come up to me and they say, hey, Kevin, and I look at them like a deer in the headlights, and I can't remember who the hell they are, I have to kind of play a little game. Like I try to place them in the particular friend group. Is this a jiu-jitsu guy?
Well, not
is this someone
that.
I knew from the restaurants and the bars?
But there are women in my class that come to class. They've got their spandex on. They got their hair tied back. I could see that same girl out on the town somewhere. If she's wearing a skirt with her hair down, I will not recognize her.
No, exactly.
100%.
Women a lot, but it happens a lot with men too. Like you see a guy, people in the jiu-jitsu room, and there's, you see some dude that comes in a gi or comes in in rash guards and in a dirty freaking.
And then you see him on the street with a hat on.
Or they're
who the fuck are you?
They're an attorney, or you know what I mean. They're dressed super nice, and you're like, holy shit, like you clean up pretty nice.
I'm telling you, like I always used to make fun of Lois Lane. I'm like, how the fuck can you not see that that's Superman? But now I'm like, I understand.
You got to get it.
I get it. I totally understand how she was fooled,
especially as you get older.
Yeah,
as an elderly man. Speaking of elderly, today is my birthday.
Dun, 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 dun. How old are you? 47?
47.
Yes.
It's the ripe old age of 47.
I'll tell you what. I'm 51. I'll stop. I'll stop aging, and I'll wait for you.
And by the way, all of you out there that make the joke, you're 29 today, huh? I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you very much. Continue with that. It is not taking the sarcasm. I appreciate it. It's my birthday present. Help yourself. I don't feel 29 today. I feel all of 27. I meant to say 47, but whatever. You get the idea. Freudian slip.
But there is a secret. There is a secret to us keeping our youth, and it's called TRT.
Dude, I'm going very soon. I was gonna make the appointment this week, but I freaking got busy and I forget to do it. I'm gonna probably make the appointment on Monday morning and go get my levels checked again. I have fought the urge to get back on the test.
You do it like legitimately through a doctor and everything?
Oh yeah, I get it through a doc, man.
Good on you.
Well, the only reason I say that is because I've been doing this shit long enough to realize that you never know for sure that you're getting real stuff unless you get it from a fucking doctor. I've bought so much fake testosterone in my time.
Really?
Oh man, so many bullshit hustlers. And it's not their fault. Like, they don't do it because they want to screw you over.
When you buy it illegally, you just have to remember, just take a look at the guy selling it to you. Does he look like a muscle-bound freak? Then you're probably doing good.
But it's not his fault. If he happens to be, if he happens to be buying something fake from somebody else, and he's not doing it to be an asshole, it's just somebody sold him fake shit, and now he's got to get rid of it. Oh, the joys of being an illicit.
Yes.
Anyway,
Well, we do have a show for you today.
we do have a show today. Somewhere buried. Let's pull up the Trello.
We got to figure it out. What is our show?
What is our show today? We can talk about Sapaterio. You want to talk about Sapaterio?
Yes, that was a great event. The quintet.
It was a great event.
So we had 4 teams. It was Team Finishers, Team Sapaterio, Team Enigma. What was the 4th team?
Finishers, Enigma, Sapaterio. I don't remember. What the
Now
hell
I got to
was
go
it?
to the Instagram.
Yeah, I
'cause now-
fucking forget.
Now I'm going to get shit for forgetting.
Yeah, I know. We make sure we get it right. Our new sponsors
Right?
are happy with us. We can't even remember the 4 names.
Sapaterio.
I actually, it was pretty funny. I'm horrible about that shit. I actually freaking,
Oh, come on.
whatever.
I don't have.
So anyway, there was a 4th team, and they were very good, and it was a pleasure and an honor to be able to be Matt's side to watch them. But I'll tell you, man, like,
Figures, no service in here.
I am not a huge fan of the quintet format. I wish that at that level.
Listen, you're biased. And the reason why you're biased is because it took so long for your match. You ended up waiting around. But the quintet was actually really cool. That was my favorite part of the night, to be honest with you. I really, really enjoyed it.
And I wasn't really watching a whole lot of it.
And
either,
I got to
be
say,
honest with you.
I had to eat my words a little bit because when a lot of these guys started off wrestling, and people in the crowd probably heard me saying that, jiu-jitsu guys wrestling is the most boring shit ever. And it usually is. But one guy got double-legged down a stairwell, and that was just fucking awesome. And after that, I was like, yeah, wrestle more.
So here's the big problem that I have with crossing the barriers between submission only and the ADCC. Right now, the ADCC is hot. And Sapaterio and Enigma are switching to an ADCC rules format for their future events. When they do their $100,000 tournament of champions, which is coming up soon. They're going to start doing qualifiers for that. It's going to be 160 pounds ADCC rules, which I think is a smart move, just my opinion personally. But the problem is these guys, when they're training for the ADCC and they're working on their takedowns and they're working on all the elements that qualify them to be prepared for the ADCC, it's just a different strategy. When you've only got an 8-minute match and it's 2 world-class guys and you're so concerned about who's on top and who's on the bottom.
Midwest finishers.
Finishers. Yeah, but there was 2 finishers, right? There was the finishers
and Midwest
all right, finishers. That's what screwed me up. There's finishers and Midwest finishers. Thank you, Sonny. We figured it out now.
Because we don't want to leave anybody out. But yeah. So Team Enigma came out with the belt. They won. And congrats to them. Very, very good matches. Unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of submissions because I think one of the things that happens in the quintet, if I can be a little bit critical, is there's a lot of fighting to not lose that happens.
Well,
and I understand why, because they say, well, if I can't get the finish, well,
at least we're both out.
At least we're both out. And so what happens is you see guys not really engaging as much as they should.
There's a very different strategical approach. And I think as we moved on throughout the night, guys were starting to pick it up. But I think the first round or so, people were a little bit lost in the fray. There's a very different strategical approach between what these guys have been training their asses for, which is the ADCC, and going into a sub-only matchup like we saw with the quintet. And
I almost feel like it would be great to have, instead of doing sub only at those quintets, is to do the ADCC rule set.
But the problem with that is that you have to now incorporate submissions and points. And what would happen was we would come up with something similar to what you have in a wrestling dual meet. And I think they've done this before in the past, where you have 2 teams going against each other and you get X amount of points for a submission win. Like if you win by a pin in a wrestling dual meet, you get 7 points. If you win by points,
Well,
you
they
get
don't
5
have to
points.
do that. They could just do individual matches the way that they would do a
And then the winner
ACC match, and then the winner gets to move on and stay in, and the loser goes out. And I think that would go a lot more, because I got to say, the other problem I had was the size of the stage combined with the EBI overtime, right?
Yeah.
Guys going out of bounds a lot, and it's just real. Once you're out of bounds, it's really. I mean, this happened to Dylan, right? Once you're out of bounds, it's really tough to escape if someone's got a body lock on you, a body triangle.
I'm just not. I've made my bones. Like I cut my teeth and made my name in EBI overtime matches. That's what everything was for a long time, because that is what was the big seller. Maybe EBI overtime. That's pretty much what put submission only grappling on the mat. And I truly believe changed the game. I've talked about this forever and ever. I still think it's a horrible way to decide a match.
Yeah,
I still think it's a coin flip, and you can fight me forever.
Josh on the podcast and talk to him, because he's the one that's making the rules.
Well, we're moving on. The quintet. I don't know that they're going to continue what they're going to do with the quintet, but for sure, this tournament, the 160-pound tournament that's coming up, Tournament of Champions that they're running, is going to be EB or ADCC rules.
Is that what it is?
That's what the
pounds?
It's all moved to ADCC rules. Which I think
the $100,000 world
the $100,000 world championship is going to be ADCC rules, which I think is going to bring out the best grapplers.
In case
we
haven't mentioned it yet, $100,000 world championship. I don't think any tournament in the history of jiu-jitsu has offered a $100,000
Sonny,
prize.
slow you roll, because the PDF piggybacked off of that and started their own $100,000 tournament. But I think it's going to be a submission only. PDF is actually doing a pretty cool.
Who the hell is PDF?
I know, we're so horrible. We don't know anything about this shit. Only reason I know is because I saw it on the PDF. Is the professional blah blah whatever. The guy from the 10th Planet guy, Brandon McAfee or McElroy, whatever the hell his name is. I'm horrible tonight. I can't remember shit. My brain's fucking
I don't know
scrambled.
who that is. And
They're doing it. It's actually pretty cool. They've got a Jeff Glover. They've got Hodger Gracie, Eddie Bravo, and Andre Galvao all have their own team. And then they're going to do a team matchup, and the winner gets $100,000. I believe. What weight class? I don't know. I know that they're doing a $100,000 championship too, but Sapaterio's is going to be better.
Their tournament. Let's talk about the Sapaterio Invitational
on Enigma.
That's the only one that we give a shit about.
On Enigma, which the Old Man Grappling Hour is now one of the official sponsors of Enigma, by the way.
So we are very happy to announce on the show here $100,000 World Championship for competition jiu-jitsu, which is very, very awesome. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're going to see some big names.
Oh yeah, they're going at it.
We're going to see some big names in this
for 100. I mean, there was big names. Enigma they're really throwing some money at this shit, man. I talked to Josh a few times recently about what they're putting together. They got a lot of money, and they're looking to try to promote their brand. I mean, like last night, there were some fucking huge names. Obviously, I can't remember any of them, but Ethan Krellinson,
Ethan Krellinston,
Andre, it's John Combs. The one guy
Combs.
that wins the West Coast trials in my weight class every year, Sergio something or other. I forget his name.
Sergio Arroyo.
Yeah, really, he's awesome.
Areola.
He's a stud. He had a tough match with John Combs.
But I got to say, man, the team that won was a bunch of guys I've never heard of.
I don't even remember who won.
It was Team Enigma.
Oh, did they win? Well, Hunter Colvin's a freaking stud.
Yeah, I've personally never heard of these guys. You got Abraham Lamontagny, Reese Lefevre.
Hunter's a stud, but it's that format, man. It's when you're in a quintet, it really is almost anyone's game, simply because you're in a situation where you have a submission. If someone, and I don't want to say gets lucky, but someone happens to finish by a submission, then the other guys are so good they can't submit anybody else, and you end up in a situation where, like, just because you got that one submission, then the other guys, you just ride it out. No one's going to get a submission. If you want to go 8 minutes and not get submitted, you can go that 8 minutes and not get submitted, which is kind of lame, but that's kind of the game plan.
But shouts out here to Abraham, to Reese, to DeAndre. He was a stud, by the way. I think he was the guy that went against Combs. Hunter and Kaya Rudolph. Kaya Rudolph, Hunter Colvin,
Kaya
DeAndre Bro,
Dasher.
I'm probably butchering these names.
Dasher and Dancer,
DeAndre
Prancer.
Korb, Reese Lefevre, and Abraham Lamont.
Was
How the fuck do you say that?
Santa Claus the head coach?
Montagne?
Yeah, close enough.
Will you shut the fuck up so I can say their names? Jesus Christ. Abraham Lamontagne, Reese Lefevre, DeAndre Korb, Hunter Colvin, and Kaya Rudolph. Congratulations to you guys. You won the $15,000. Split between, I think, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like $3,000 a piece or something.
That ain't too bad.
It's not a bad night, man.
Not a bad night. So, anyway, moving right along. How did Dylan do? Dylan won, right?
No, Dylan, it was a bad night for the home team.
Yeah, home team didn't do well that night.
Home team did not do well. So Dylan lost an OT. You lost an OT. And the Sapaterio top team made it to the finals and then lost in OT. I think it was Combs versus... I'm not sure who.
Oh, Sonny, put the fucking phone down. Yeah. Nobody gives a shit anymore.
I don't know who Combs went against, honestly. I don't know which guy it was.
I kind of want to. I want to hear you try to decipher.
Was it Lamontagne?
We're gonna say Lamontagne. Good job, Lamontagne.
I got to say, man, I was wholly unimpressed with Crowlinston. I thought I was going to see something a little bit more there.
Man, I still believe that these guys just got caught up and forgot. Why. You got to sell out.
Right.
You can't wait. And if you're waiting to the last second to try to create some offense if you got an 8-minute match and you spend 5 minutes of it wrestling, these guys aren't thinking about how to win. They're not going out there and just selling out for submissions. You have to do that. You got to take chances.
My opinion, and I'm curious what you think about this. I think you're going to feel the same way. But my opinion is that in order to submit a high-level guy, you have to take more risk. If you're playing guard, you have to let them in more.
Yeah.
Right? You have to let them into an uncomfortable position
at least,
to be able to snatch up a leg
or at least
up, some kind of a sweep or
at
something.
least force the pace, which again is going to put you at risk because now you're trying to push the pace a little bit, but you're taking chances. You have to initiate those scrambles, which are submission-oriented scrambles, instead of playing a more conservative game.
I mean,
which
if
is
there's no
hard.
risk, there's not going to be a reward. And I just didn't see a lot of these guys in the quintet risking too much.
Yeah, they were all too good. And I still think they were just all in the 80cc mindset because we got the West Coast trials coming up. Moving right along.
Yes,
I had to wrestle a gorilla.
Yeah, that guy was giant.
Anyway, I think I did well. I was happy with my performance.
You did fine, man. I mean, look,
but
to lose in overtime, is it really losing? Is it really losing?
It's still losing. They didn't put my hand up, and I'm not happy. I'm not upset about it. I'm proud of my performance.
I'm always a little bit like, I still kind of have that old school mindset. It's like, if you didn't get submitted, did you really lose?
I mean, all I will tell you is I didn't really know who Tom was, and Tom, I can never say his damn name, McCammon, Tom.
You got me.
McCann.
Oh, now it's your fucking turn.
Tom McHannon. Anyway, he was a super nice guy. I didn't really know who he was. Didn't really do a little research on him. Matt Arroyo, my head coach, did a little research on him and told me he was really good, which he was. He went 15 minutes with Pachecha in a gi match a few years back. I didn't know how big he was.
He's fucking giant.
I swear to you, Sonny. I swear to fucking God. The first time I laid eyes on him.
Bro, when I saw you in his closed guard, I was trying to coach you and I'm like, Kevin, stand up.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, sure.
Stand up, Kevin.
Stand up. And that was the other thing that kind of threw me off guard, was that he was in a BMAC, is that guy from PDF, by the way. He had a very I wasn't anticipating him to play close guard. You don't see that a lot. I understand the nuances of playing with closed guard players because I do a lot of IBJJF stuff.
The thing I can say that was worked out for you was that, and I'm sure you felt this throughout the match with him. I mean, he was only hunting the triangle.
Yeah. I mean, he wanted the triangle and he had that really good little...
Yeah, like
lever sweep they hit me with early. That was a really good sweep.
You know, and which he took advantage of when you put your knee in the middle of his ass.
Every time but it turned into a cat and mouse game.
Right.
Which I don't really, that's why I hate close guard. It's a boring game.
Sure. But, you know, the good news is all you had to worry about was the triangle and the sweep.
Right.
You know, and it's like, if you can deal with those two things, you know, and which you did the entire match. And I think you passed him, didn't you?
I did pass his guard once, but he got on top of me, dude, when he swept me.
Yeah,
and mounted me. It was I don't know how I got out of it. I don't know how to like it. I thought my life was over.
It was very impressive.
That was a great big man. 6'4", about 250, 260. Anyway, moving right along.
You have, do New Year's resolutions work? No. No, they do not.
So we're in a situation here where we're moving. This is coming towards, we're recording this towards the end of January, which is our first official discussion podcast of the year. And when we come out of a new year, there's always guys that come into the gym under the impression that they're going to create their New Year's resolution to get better at jiu-jitsu and use that to be their opening stanza of the year to continue working. I'm just curious, as a coach, what do you feel about New Year's resolutions? What do you think?
They're bullshit.
I think they're bullshit too. I mean, they're great for money. I mean, as a gym owner, I love them because you get a whole shit ton of people that want to come sign up for your gym that quit in the next 3-4 months. But
like last night, I got a sign up and I was very happy for the sign. Anytime a cop joins my gym, I'm very excited because I have stuff to show them. You know, I have stuff that they can do.
I love my Leos too. That's my favorite part. I love training Leos.
It's the most important thing that I do. 1,000% teaching cops, whether they be male or female, is the most important thing that I do. And don't get me wrong, I love all my students. I love teaching jiu-jitsu in general, but I take the job of teaching the Leos extraordinarily serious.
Special place in my heart with the Leos.
Yes, because they are going out there and doing the work that we don't want to do.
Well, and I make this debate all the time that when you teach a cop the proper application of jiu-jitsu, yes, they have a difficult job and it's keeping them safe. But it's also keeping us safe because they have more confidence. They have more confidence in their hand-to-hand abilities, which makes them less likely having to go to their secondary forms of control, which is their gun or their pepper spray or their billy club or their tasers. When they're confident in their ability to maintain control of someone and subdue them, they don't have to shoot them anymore. And I think it should be mandatory for cops to take jiu-jitsu.
And frankly, I've seen way too many videos where cops get beat up. You know,
not even close. It's horrible.
And it's terrible to see that. And it just drives me crazy because you think you're watching the fight go down and you're like, man, if that guy just knew 6 months of jiu-jitsu.
I got a cop we can bring. I got a cop I'm going to bring on for us.
I've got a bunch of Leos.
I got a guy that works.
I have like 3 or 4 women Leo students. I have a bunch of male Leo students.
We will definitely have a police officer on soon.
Cops from St. Pete, from Hillsborough, from Manatee, from Bradenton. I mean, all over. And I'm so proud of them for the work that they put in at the gym. And I know that they are going to be prepared.
Well, they're doing it for their actual job. Right. You know, I mean, obviously they love, I always say this about jiu-jitsu. I don't give a shit what gets you on the mats. I don't care if you want to do a little work because you're a police officer, you want to get better police officer, or if you want to learn to be a fighter, if you think you're going to lose weight, whatever reason gets you on the mat, that's great. Once you start training, you realize that jiu-jitsu is so much more than whatever you think it is. It becomes a part of your life. And once you figure that out, now you're hooked. Now you're a lifer.
But to bring it around to the question, do New Year's resolutions work? When somebody comes in and says, oh, you know, it's my New Year's resolution to try this new thing, that's great and all. But I'd rather have what I had last night, which is a cop coming in saying, yeah, man, I've been on the force for a little while now, and I've been in a few scuffles, and I'm realizing I need this. That's what makes me excited.
Dude, I can't. I mean, there's a lot of police officers that I know, and I believe me, I worked in the clubs, and I saw a lot of piece of shit cops. And don't get me wrong, not nasty cops that do a horrible thing to people. I mean, like I've seen that too, but not as much as you might think. But I've seen a lot of police officers that I love you guys, but you're kind of woefully underprepared. Like I've seen a lot of guys that you look at and be like, dude, like what the fuck are you doing? You're a police officer. Like your job is to subdue and have conflict with someone. You couldn't fight your way out of a fucking wet paper bag. Yeah. Like it's kind of disgraceful. I think that they should raise their standards.
Yeah, no,
to keep these guys in shape and able to defend themselves, and it keeps everybody safe.
Yeah,
across the long
I think
run.
there are some departments out there that have a jiu-jitsu prerequisite, but not enough. I mean, it's the majority don't.
Well, I give my guys a ridiculous discount, far and beyond what everybody else
the
does.
people who pay the least in my gym are the police
Always my
officers.
first responders and Leos. But anyway, do you think that someone that wakes up on January 1st and decides that this is the time that they are going to dedicate themselves?
No.
No.
They never stick with it.
They never stick with it. I like the idea. Again, bring me your money because I will take it. But the reality of it is, if you're not thinking about signing up over and over and over again, I just don't believe in New Year's resolutions. You need to have a plan for the entirety of your life and the entirety of your year, instead of just the one day the clock strikes midnight and the ball drops.
You know, I don't know why you started jiu-jitsu, but I started jiu-jitsu back in 2007. I had bought a drum set maybe 6 months before that, and because I needed a hobby. I was bored. So I bought a drum set and I started learning like AC/DC songs. And I was like, this is really gay.
Gay in a good way.
I just
gay.
I just couldn't. It was mind numbing. I had to do something else. So I sold the drum set and I was like, what else can I do? And I was like, well, I used to do karate. I don't think I want to do that anymore. And then I remembered Hoist Gracie in the UFC. And I remember watching it when it came out. I said, oh yeah, jiu-jitsu. I should try that. And I went to a school in West Hartford, Connecticut, signed up, and the rest is history. And fun fact, I only paid for 1 month of jiu-jitsu in my entire. Yeah.
How'd you get in free up in Hartford?
So
What were you doing?
my first month I paid for, but then the instructor found out that I at the time
IT stuff?
was a web developer.
Yeah, so you did the website?
And so I did their website, and that's basically what I did every.
The
Until I met Rob Kahn, and
power of the barter.
Rob just let me train for free because we were friends. And
Fucking Rob.
which
We
is-
love you,
which-
Rob.
Yeah, I love Rob, and so he always let me train, and and that's why I continually stick by him now, and continue to have him in for seminars. And by the way, we're going to have Rob Kahn in February.
I gotta have Rob
to
in too.
Gracie Bradenton,
And we're
so
gonna
that'll be
probably
fun.
do him. I'll probably do him in the next quarter. I was gonna have him in this month, and then Keith Kukorian hit me up.
He's still the pressure master. He's the pressure maestro.
Dude,
so.
I rolled with Rob about 2 years ago, right after I opened my gym, and it was when Rob, right before he had his little thing, and he was not very well. He didn't look very good. He was, he's way better now, but he was not in the best of shape. And I was rolling with him, and I hadn't rolled with him in years. And I was like, "Come on, man, let's roll." And I swear to God, I thought he was gonna have a heart attack. But if that motherfucker didn't almost catch me in a goddamn omoplata and break my fucking arm off before I had a chance to blink, I was like, "You son of a bitch!"
Yeah.
He is the real fucking deal.
Yeah, man. I remember when I first rolled with him up in Connecticut, and he'd come down from Florida, or come up from Florida, I should say, for a seminar. And I remember saying to him, I was like, "Bro, I knew you were going to be good. I didn't know you were going to be that good."
Yeah, dude, he's good. He's
And
good.
for a guy as short as he is. You just think, no.
It's sad too that
fucks you up, man.
we never got to roll. Arroyo tells me stories all the time, and Robbie maybe even a little bit less, but some of the guys that have been with him, Bamboo, Top Cat, that have been with him from the old days, Brian Murray, they tell me that Rob, we know the world. We should all be sad that we didn't get to see Rob in his prime, because he was amazing. He almost won the ADCC trials a long, long time ago. He lost the finals to the guy that was like dominating everybody and almost won the whole damn thing, some American dude. But Rob in his prime was absolutely amazing and a force of nature, and we're kind of sad that we never got to see that. But moving right along,
He's making a comeback.
Speaking of Hoist Gracie,
Yeah. So tell me about your trip out to Vegas. Got to do some shooting. I hope you told him I want him back in.
we're bringing him in. Hoist is. I love Hoist. Believe me, he's cool. But Hoist, it took him a few seconds to kind of pretend like he remembered who I was. he meets a whole lot of people. But I spent.
I'm sure he knew you.
After a second, I mean, I've hung out with him before. We've had dinner before and shit. I met him through Matt. He used me for an uke for a couple of his techniques the last time he was at South, and he knew me once I said Rob Kahn, Matt Arroyo, and once he recognizes who you are, and even after that, he is honestly one of the most genuine people on the face of the
Oh,
planet.
yeah, dude.
Really, really, really much cooler than you could even imagine.
Dude, 100%.
Super, super cool guy. But anyway, I trained Scott Austin, General Scott Austin, former 4-star general. He used to run Delta. Super nice guy. He was in charge of Afghanistan on their departure. No big deal.
Interesting little side fact about him. I looked him up, and on his Wikipedia page, it cites that his profile, his picture and likeness is used the most to defraud old elderly women.
Yeah. I can't wait to tell him that.
I'm sure he knows.
I just saw him this afternoon.
On his Wikipedia.
He told me that. Actually, he laughed about that. He told me that there's it's very difficult for him to have social media because he has so many frauds that use his image. I mean, and there's other people that just know who he is that will use it for.
But can you imagine being a male smoke show for the elderly like that?
He's a stud too. I mean, he's 60. I just trained with him today. He's 62, I think he said he is. And I swear to God, I have to calm him down. I have to be like, hey, dude, like, relax.
Yeah,
relax. Like, I don't want to be the guy that killed fucking Scott Austin, believe me, dude, because there's some fucking mean Delta motherfuckers that are coming in here with black hoods on, and they'll just look like I committed suicide. And fucking they'll find me with some fucking whatever, some gay porn and a fucking noose around my neck.
He did it to himself.
But anyway,
2 bullet holes in your head. He killed himself.
Scott, who I've been working with for a little over a year now, maybe 2 years, is awesome. Super nice guy. He is retired. He is now the CEO of Prairie Fire, Nevada, which is a shooting lodge, VIP shooting lodge out in Vegas. So
that's his place.
That's his place. Okay. Well, he's the chairman of the board. The guy who owns it is actually the owner of Staccato Firearms, an oil billionaire that also owns Staccato Firearms. I met him. His name's Pete. But he invited me out to his VIP grand opening, and Hoist was there. I got to hang out with Hoist. I got to hang out with Josh Koscheck, and people were fucking thinking I was some fucking movie star.
Who'd they think you were?
I don't know. Fucking people come up to me. I'm hanging out with Hoist and fucking Josh Koscheck. They just think I'm fucking some fucking cool dude. So I'm just like, Dash, you don't take a picture, really? Why the fuck not? But amazing experience. I got to hang out with probably about 4 or 5 of his actual Delta operators who it's amazing to see Scott in motion. These guys who are and like, for those of you that don't know, like there's special forces operators and then there's Delta. Like the Delta guys are by far the apex. They are like America's spear, the tip of the spear. Like these guys go out and do things that like, it's amazing.
They do shit we're not even allowed to know about.
So funny story. So I was in Vegas and I had met them a little bit on Saturday earlier because we went out there with a really small group. The actual VIP event was on Sunday. We went out there with a small group on Saturday and I met a couple of them and they took me out and showed me some shooting tips and we walked around and toured the complex and stuff. I went back. We were staying at Caesar's Palace and I was walking around after dinner looking for a place to go watch the fights. And I couldn't find anything. There was nothing open, nowhere around for anybody to watch the fights. They weren't showing it because whatever is in Vegas. So I walked into the cigar bar just for a second, just to see if they were going to have it on because one of the guys at the sports betting place told me they might have it there. And it wasn't on. I'm like, I'm just going to go back to your room and go to sleep. And as I'm walking out the door, I hear, hey, I heard your jiu-jitsu sucks. And I'm just thinking it's some random asshole I know in Vegas because I know some people out there. And I turn around and look, and it's not Hoist. It wasn't Hoist. Hoist does his own thing. So I turn the corner and I look back around, and it's like 5 of these Delta operators sitting at a table with one of their fucking billionaire buddies. And they think I'm the cool guy because they're all jiu-jitsu purple belts, and they think I'm the coolest dude in the fucking world. So they're like, come on over here, have some drinks with us. So I'm sitting down, and they had already they've been hammered. One of their billionaire buddies is taking them out to dinner and paying for everything. So they start telling stories about some of the things that they have done in the past, and I'm in the table thinking to myself, like,
remember that time
Yeah.
we kidnapped Castro?
I'm lit, and dude, that ain't far off from the fucking. Believe me when I tell you this shit.
Oh, dude,
and
I've heard some stories.
I'm
man.
sitting at this table and I'm thinking, I hope when these guys sober up tomorrow morning, they don't recognize that they said that to someone that wasn't supposed to hear. And I end up hanging in my hotel room with gay porn and noose around my neck. But
by the way, there is someone that I know that who absolutely thinks you're gay.
yeah.
I'm not going to say who.
Well, you can't tell me that now.
Oh yeah, well
I'm not. But
maybe
whatever.
later.
I'm going to dispel this because this is a rumor.
Yeah, apparently
This is a thing that's followed me around. I'm 47 years old and never
Kevin
been married.
has never hit on me.
I've never been married, never have no kids. Trust me, I'm going to tell all of you this right now. Believe me, I worked in gay bars for a very long time. If
You're not helping your case.
listen to me, listen, folks at home. If I was gay, believe me, I would not be in a fucking storage unit in Brandon shooting
Hold
a
on
fucking
a second.
podcast.
This is $1 million facility.
So I would, right, whatever. The $1 million fucking facility. I would be in a condo on the beach with one of the fucking hundreds of fucking millionaire fucking gay men that wanted to put me up and take care of me for the rest of my life.
Oh, I
Believe
see.
me.
So you-
sometimes I wish I was gay because my life would be a lot easier.
So you're not gay, but $1 million is $1 million.
$1 million is $1 million. No.
Hey,
Whatever.
look, for $1 million in a condo, I might be gay too.
I have fought that rumor my entire life. It's funny. When I was in New York one time with Jeff Bailey, my homie Jeff Bailey, R.I.P. Jeff Bailey. He's not dead yet, but whatever. I love him. My homie Jeff Bailey, we were up in Vegas, and there's this ice cream shop it's a famous place called Big Gay Al's Ice Cream. And me and Jeff Bailey were sitting on it, and we had our hands in our laps. And we were kind of like cuddling with one another, and we took a little picture in front of the Big Gay Owl, and I posted it up on Facebook. And there was actually in my family, like my cousins and uncles, and there was
They thought you were coming out?
There was actually drama with my mother and other people because they thought that I was gay. Because at the time I was dating a girl, and we had just broken up. And there was a rumor that I broke up with my girlfriend because I decided to be gay, and this was
Jeff Bailey?
With Jeff Bailey. This is my coming out party. Long story short, I know I'm anxious about this.
I know. It's like, bro, for someone who's not gay, you're certainly doing an awful lot of explaining.
I hung out with the Delta operators. That was fun. Anyway, thank you very much for all of that. General Scott Austin was amazing. Prairie Fire.
Thank you for your service, General.
Thank you for your service, and all of the folks at home that may or may not be watching this.
Yo, tell the General I want to train with him sometime.
We're gonna have him on the show. He told me he'd have us. He told me he doesn't like to do jiu-jitsu anymore. He just does boxing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bring him in. He does a like a cardio heavy boxing session. That's me just making him run calisthenics and do some sprints and cone work, and then we hold mitts and we call it a day.
Well, speaking of boxing,
Oh, this is now moving right along.
USA Boxing to allow men that identify as women to fight natural-born women.
You know, that
My
happened.
God, man.
That happened.
What is
earlier.
happening in this
Yeah,
world?
that's a tough one. That's happening. Or that happened. That came out earlier in the month. And I remember reading an article about that. I remember sending you the article, I think.
Just absolutely disgusting.
I just can't, man, I do not, it's hard for me to understand it. I can't wrap my head around it. I do not go as hard line as you do on the mental health aspects of it. I lean towards that side. I'm not going to lie.
How do you mean? I don't think I've said anything that's...
People that are interested in changing their sex to another sex.
You don't think that they're mentally ill?
I do not prescribe to it. I think it's a bit much, but I'm also of the opinion that there is hard science out there on the other side of it that will say that it is a real thing. And science is science. Believe me, science is subjectable as the person that paid for the fucking
Right.
scientist
And
to
that's
do the
the
work
thing.
on
It's
it.
like 10 years ago, to believe that you were in the wrong body was a mental illness. It was in the
But
books.
they also used to freaking, put leeches on you to cure freaking, diabetes, so and cocaine was prescribed for freaking
I'll say
insomnia.
the same thing that I say every time, which is there is also a disease or mental illness where people believe that they should be missing a limb.
Well,
right.
So
And we don't cut off their limb to appease them. So I don't understand why we... give people drugs and let them transition.
So aside from the debate of whether or not it should be okay for someone to have the actual procedure, because that's a talk for another fucking time, and I don't really want to have that discussion because I don't really have a basis in it. And to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit. I don't like the idea that they are almost allowing kids to make these decisions. I mean, letting a 5-year-old decide if they're a boy or a girl. You know, before. I mean, it's odd. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's right. But again,
evil is what it is.
But again, I will tell you that there is solid science, because I know people in the area that will support it. As fucked up and misguided as we think it is.
No, I disagree with that. I don't think there is science. I think you find someone with a medical degree to agree with that. I think they're an activist, not a doctor.
That's here nor there, because they do that on both sides. Believe me, that's the problem with the scientific method anymore. It's purchasable. I mean, it's for sale. But
enough about the trans.
Well, I want to get to the point. So because the whole reason I want to talk about it is the fact that what I cannot condone is
a dickless man beating the shit out of a woman in
pretty
the ring?
much.
Yeah.
It's just not fair, and what we're going to start to see, and I just can't wrap my head around how people think of it in a logical manner. And someone as an organization that's established as USA Boxing or the National Boxing Registration, to be able to say that it's okay for a man that has had testosterone going through their body for as long as they have, now that is on estrogen that seemingly doesn't have the same amount of, their bones and they're still strong. They still have the same.
Whatever happened to Fallon Fox? Now
that name's been gone forever.
Has the UFC banned?
I can't see a world where Dana White would allow it.
Right, I don't either. But it's crazy that this woke culture has made its way into boxing.
It's a trend that is spilling over. I mean, we already see it in NCAA. As someone that's been involved in athletics for a very long time, and is again a friend of the gay community, I just can't wrap my head around this. It's hard for me to see how that's okay and rationalized in the world that we live in. I'm certain that Dana White is not on board with it, by the way. I could almost guarantee that. Anyway, what else we got here today?
Let's see. Craig Jones thinks training in the gi is worthless. I think his exact quote was, "Nobody gives a shit about the gi anymore."
I mean, that's another one. I can't say something. He's been saying that for a long time. I can't say that I disagree with that. And I'll tell you why. Like, I don't necessarily think that first of all, there's still a great deal of people that care about the gi, myself included to a certain extent. And proof of that is going to the IBJJF Masters Worlds every year. I mean, it's the biggest tournament in jiu-jitsu. I think they did like 4,000 competitors last year. It's ridiculous how many people they have come out for the Masters Worlds. And that's an all-gi tournament. It goes over 4 days in Las Vegas. I mean, there are still traditionalists that still believe the gi is where it's at. I do not think that the gi is worthless. I definitely think that the idea of gi jiu-jitsu is starting to shift away to somewhere else. I think that there are plenty of people that do think it's worthless. I like the gi. I like training in the gi. I think it's fun. I think there are a whole lot of old dudes that also agree with me in that. I think it slows the game down and gives them a little more advantage to be able to hold on to grips and keep things going. But it's definitely the trend of jiu-jitsu shifting in an opposite direction that shows that the gi is no longer going to be viable to most people. And I think that's the big oversight. What are you like? Are we checking the fucking weather?
Well, no, I was looking for Craig Jones's quote. I was looking for Craig Jones's quote.
It's not. It's the same thing he's been saying for a long, long time. And I think we're to the point now where it's just not going to be any different than that.
I mean, all I can say is my opinion about the gi. I like training in the gi once every couple of years. Put it on, remember what I look like in it, make sure it still fits, all that shit.
You put your gi on for your belt ceremony, right?
Sometimes I don't. People in my gym don't care about the gi. I know Hoist wears it for traditional reasons, but when he came and did a seminar a year or two ago at the gym, everything he taught was no gi. You know, all the moves he showed, there was no grabbing of the lapel sleeves, no gi chokes. It was all no gi jiu-jitsu that he taught while wearing the gi. And he said openly that he wears the gi mostly for tradition. That was his take. And that's cool. You know, I get it. You know, his father was very big on the gi, and so I can understand why he would still want to wear the gi. For me, I'm not so much of a big fan of it. I just, you know, especially living in Florida where the coldest weather we have is you have to wear a sweatshirt.
It's brutal in the summertime when you put a gi on too, when it's hot outside. Oh, it's so brutal.
But it's like, you know, when you get into a fight in the street, I don't want my people, my students, to have to depend on the person wearing specific clothing in order for them to come out on top in a fight.
I don't think that wearing the gi is a pro or a con for any kind of a self-defense situation. What I will say is this, is that, like, I don't think you need to wear a gi. I do think it helps with a few different things. First of all, it just makes the level of intensity a little bit higher. And what I mean by that is now you have more things that are happening around you as you are training. You've got lapels that are smashing you over the face. You've got shit that's grinding across. You're wearing something, because when you're in a street fight, you're never naked. And when you're wearing no-gi stuff, believe me, like, you might as well be naked. You're not going to have anything to grab onto. And God forbid you're in a situation, in an altercation, where you have someone that does grab your pants or grabs your sweatshirt or grabs your sleeve and pulls your shirt over your head. And if you're not ready for that level of stressor, if you're not ready for that level of anxiety, you know, maybe it's something that you're not prepared for when it happens in a real life scenario. And, you know, I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's right. Can I think you can get good at self-defense without wearing a gi? Absolutely. But I also think that it adds another level of anxiety, of pressure, of grips. You know, when some big fucking guy, if you've never trained in a gi before, you get some big asshole that grabs a hold of your sweatshirt because guess what? It's cold outside and you can't get away from him because he's pinning you down with your sweatshirt hood. You know,
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
No, look, I do see that there is some merit in it. I think the gi is good for two things. When you're new to jiu-jitsu, I think the gi is good because it slows the game down and it helps you think. I mean, when there's not as much movement and action, you can think your way through problems a little bit easier. And also, I think the gi makes you good at defending chokes, right? Because you're going to have a lot more. There's a lot more ways to get choked with a gi on than without. And so, if you get good at defense with the gi, then your choke defense is going to be pretty on point. That said, I still believe that it's better to be able to fight someone if they're not wearing a gi, because you have to figure out a way of controlling them using their limbs with, you know, clinching, getting double wrist grabs, wrist and elbow grabs, you know, collar ties, whatever you're going to do. I think it's important to know that stuff because chances are you're going to get into a fight with somebody. You know, here's the problem with you know, the gi mindset. If I try to grab your sleeve and really hold on to it, the chances are your shirt's going to rip.
Right.
In fact, I know a cop in Connecticut who guy was running away and he grabbed the back of his
and ripped right off
and tried to yank him backwards.
Yeah.
And the shirt just came off.
Right.
And the guy ended up running down the street. And so, you know, I like the idea of going hands-on, grabbing something that, you know, can't be just ripped, you know? Like if I grab your wrist, it's just not going to rip.
Right.
Your wrist is going to stay
It's a grip.
Yeah.
I mean, my gi game and my no-gi game are almost exactly the same. Like I've trained equally throughout the course of my entire career because it's based upon the way Marcelo Garcia did it.
Yeah,
That's the way Matt did it.
I was just going to say Marcelo
Garcia. That's Matt. When we first opened, based a lot of what he did off of Marcelo
For all the kids
Garcia.
out there, before there was Gordon Ryan, there was
Marcelo
Garcia.
We should start every show with that just to make sure that the young ones out there know.
You fucking kids don't know who Marcelo is. You need to go do some internet research.
I wonder how he's doing. I know he had cancer.
I believe he's in remission.
I think it's in remission. Thank God.
That's what I thought I saw on the webs.
Marcelo Garcia is the hero we need right now. But anyway, like I train equally amount in the gi and no gi, so my games are very similar in both. I think the big overwhelming or the big overreaching theme that Craig Jones was trying to get to is that the competition of jiu-jitsu is leaning up, not just gi training in general, because I don't think he gives a fuck if you train the gi or not. I think it's more about competition in the future is all going towards no gi.
Well, yeah, I would have to agree with that because, I mean, look, I actually would rather watch collegiate wrestling than watch no-gi jiu-jitsu. It's actually much more interesting to me.
ADCC is a lot of fun.
Yeah, with the exception of ADCC. But just in general, if I had my choice to watch a no-gi, EBI match or, two collegiate wrestlers go at it, like D1 wrestlers, I think I'd rather watch the D1 wrestlers. It's going to be a hell of a lot more entertaining, I can tell you that.
And if jiu-jitsu is going away from gi training, then why should someone that is going to be a competitor waste their time and waste their reps to train in the gi?
Right.
That's his philosophy behind the whole thing.
And you just hit on the sort of third point that I wanted to make earlier, which is, think about it this way, right? Think about doctors, okay? When a doctor learns their craft, they have to go into a specialty, unless they're going to be a general practitioner.
Yeah.
And would you rather someone that's going to operate on your knee be someone who spends their time operating on the elbow and the wrist and the knee, or somebody who only operates on the knee? I think I'd rather have the guy that only operates on the knee operate on my knee.
But I mean, there also is, just to play devil's advocate, there also is the skill of actually using a syringe and cutting in the finer details, which I think when I'm training for a no-gi event, I'll train in the gi. And vice versa. When I'm training in the gi, I'll train in the no-gi because it's all still just fucking jiu-jitsu to me. And that's just my philosophy on it. And that's where I'm going to end on it.
Kevin is wrong.
I'm wrong.
See, you guys, you can disagree with people and still love them.
I know. My old guys, my old dudes like to train the gi and they pay my fucking bills. So we're going to have the gi at the gym. I don't know, Scott. Son, you got anything else you want to add? I'm kind of fading out a little bit.
We've gone through our list here. We've been on for about an hour, minus your little...
We're snafu. We're about 50 minutes in. That's close enough. By the time we get the sponsors in and fucking talk about some other shit on the way.
Our sponsors. We got to start mixing them in.
We're gonna do a sponsors reel pretty soon. We'll just have it kind of go piece by piece and have them run through. But
oh my God, how many sponsors do we have?
We got a couple.
How many do I benefit from?
Well, they pay a few things here and there. I don't get much out of it. Charlie gives me a free session. First and foremost,
no judges needed.
Yeah, Mr. Troy.
Buy your shirts, buy your pants, buy your gis, buy your shorts.
Troy is
buy
the
your
man.
Socks.
Troy is by far my favorite person in the whole world, and he has been killing us forever.
Troy always hooks us up.
I'm going to see him tonight at the birthday dinner that Sonny never gets invited to.
We love you, Troy. What else we got? Leheel Biogenics. I was very sad to find out that Stacy will not be coming.
I do not think it's I don't think it's a 100% no.
Come on, Stacy. Don't you want to come to our
$1
million facility here and join us on the podcast?
I think we're gonna have. Oh, Jesus Christ! Just go through it. We're done. We're almost done. The poster fell. Just run it. The $1 million facility is going to shit. We're gonna get through these goddamn
$1 million
sponsors.
Facility.
So we got to fix that. Gorilla Tape, I think. Stacy is. I think Stacy's just the face of the business. She would like us to have someone on that knows the actual science of the peptides and the stem cells to come on. So I think we're gonna have someone, possibly Stacy, possibly not, come on. We only got 3 microphones. We can't do 4. Just come on from Leheel Biogenics if you're interested in peptides, stem cells. We're going to have a great show coming up next show with them. Either that or my next sponsor, which is Classic Coaching. Classic Coach is my nutritionist. He's an awesome dude. Connor, if you're interested in some nutrition, believe me, when you're trying to perform at your absolute highest level, you need to be eating right. You need to be on the right supplementation. You need to have all of these things, TRT up your asshole, all of those things to keep you at the best levels.
I'm not laughing at the sponsor, by the way.
I know we're still laughing at the poster going down, but we ain't stopping. We're almost done. We ain't gonna take a pause to fix the fucking poster again. Let's get through this fucking shit show. We'll fix this next week. Next, we got Rewire, Charlie Keenan, Dr. Charlie. We had him on last week. Awesome guy. Really, really intelligent kid. If you need some help with your personal training, physical therapy, Charlie is the guy. You got an injury, it's an agony. Charlie will get you right.
Rewire.com.
And then last but not least, Active Health and Wellness, mobile. We'll have her on
the mobile
too.
IVs.
Mobile IV units in the Tampa Bay area. She probably drive down to Sarasota. She might hit you for a little bit more, but she'll come down here and visit. If you need some mobile IV use, she is there for you and she will help you out.
I wonder, would you be able to get an IV if you were trying to fast? Like if
we talked about that last week. If
I wanted to do like a 24 or 40 hour, 48 hour fast.
I am sure there are, but the problem is would it still be considered a fast if she is injecting you with nutrients?
I'm just talking about saline.
Oh yeah, I mean the high would definitely help with hydration, but she could do BCAAs.
I still think it would be a fast.
Amino. She could put all kind of stuff in you. Yeah, because it's not food. It's not your stomach.
Right.
It's still a cleanse. Yeah. Vitamins. All right. It's my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
He can cry if he wants to.
If he wants to. That's it. Rod, cue the music. Thank you so much. Next week, look out for our guests. I think we're going to have a representative from Laheel. Deuces. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.